Hi there, I'm John from CNCKing.com, and today we're going to make a custom poplar mold. Throughout the years at CNCKing.com, you've seen me make molds out of a bunch of different materials. In this case here is for thermoforming, and we can make them out of MDF generally, where the customer actually seals the wood, does all their Bondo work and all their amazing stuff, and everything sticks together. Or if they prefer something a little bit more durable for a longer production run, we could do them out of hardwoods. I've already shown oak and I've shown other kind of hardwoods, and this is one that we've done out of poplar. Now the advantage of poplar over oak is that it's a softer hardwood. Now I might say that that's kind of bad for thermoforming, but not necessarily, because if you're doing very limited production runs, MDF has its sort of optimal for just a couple units, and then you have softer hardwoods like poplar. And then you have harder woods, and the harder the material, the longer it lasts as for mold making. So you might say, well, what's the point of making this when you can just make them out of aluminum, which we can also do. The disadvantage of aluminum is the cost and production cycle. This thing here, we could, once the design is approved by the customer, we can spit it out within a day. That's after the lamination. So you can see here, might be a little bit hard, but you can see here, there's lamination, and that means that what we do is you buy the rough sawn kiln dried lumber and then cut it into strips, glue it together, wait 24 to 48 hours. Once it's dry, stick it all together and put it in the machine. What the machine does afterwards is actually flatten the top and the bottom, so you're guaranteed a totally flat parallel surface to work from. And then after that, we actually do the carving. So it's a couple of days turnaround, but if we already have this in the shop ready to go, it's roughly a day. So there's actually quite a few bits involved with actually producing a mold like this. Initially, the first bit I used is actually flattening, because what you see is the laminated boards there that I made from the kiln dried lumber. And what I have to do is make sure I have two sides that are totally parallel and flat. The reason is because you can see how they're glued together. They're glued on the parallel side. So that means technically I can make these things at roughly any thickness that you need for your molding needs, because I could buy boards up to 12 inches in height. I could of course get other special order larger items, but generally at the mill they have 12 inches of width readily available. So in this case here, I did the rough pass. So the first bit is the flattening bit. Second bit is the one that does the rough pass, which happened just a little bit earlier in this video. And what you see now is the third bit, which is the finishing pass. Out of all of these processes, is the finishing one that takes the longest, because it's moving, a fraction of a millimeter at a time and going back over the entire process, entire work piece, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, which is what you see here. Now that's a very important part, because the tighter the stepping motor is when it comes to doing this kind of work, the better the mold at the end, because everything's nice and smooth, and basically it doesn't require any sanding either. Now the time it takes to make a design like this out of poplar versus oak versus any other material other than metals is about the same. There's a bit of tweaking here and there, but really at this size here, it's generally about the same, so it doesn't really matter. Now the nice thing about poplar is that it weighs just about nothing. So if you have a very large mold that, let's say you got to do like 5 units of something, it's definitely something to consider, because you have employees and you don't want them lifting a couple hundred pounds worth of stuff all around the shop. So weight is definitely a consideration when it goes to poplar as a hardwood. The other nice thing about it is, because it's a softer hardwood, if you look at it, the results are very clean. And that means for thermoforming specifically, it's very easy to sand, it's very easy to keep up to date, it's very easy to clean up as well, both after the production cycle and get ready for something else. And of course you could always reinforce it like our customers do with MDF and other materials. So you can put Bondo over it, you could put resins, you could do whatever you want. You can also use this to actually make a different mold. So let's say you want to have a resin mold, but that's incredibly expensive, not just in not just in the liquid that you buy, but also in production time and machining time, because you need specialized bits and so forth. What we can do is make a mold like this here out of poplar. Then you fill the whole cavity with resin. And then once the resin hardens, you separate them. And there you go, you have your hard resin mold at a fraction of the price of machining a hard resin mold. So if you're looking for custom molds, contact me at CNCKing.com. We'll make it for you and ship it right to your door.